Hi, how's it going? My name is Peter Hammer, and my presentation is on the mockumentary Explained. Well, what is a mockumentary? A mockumentary is a fictional satirical film or television program made in the style of a factual documentary. That includes the NBC's The Office, NBC's Parks and Recreation, and ABC's Modern Family, as a few examples of some popular ones. The true definition of a mockumentary isn't exactly set in stone. Throughout all the research I did, I found many different definitions. These include the one I read on the previous slide, and the following: a movie or television show depicting fictional events but presented as a documentary, dictionary.com; a genius and altogether contemporary form of satire by Hank Stuver of the Washington Post; and Matthew Gilbert of Boston.com defines it as pretending to be a documentary, stimulating the air of fact with handheld camera work and direct-to-camera interviews. Mockumentaries aren't intended to represent reality, but to merely recreate it. They're a subgenre halfway between fiction and reality, and they're meant to parody the genre and criticize cultural or social codes. Here we have The Office's Angela taking Advil during a mock interview to prepare for the headache she plans to receive from her coworkers. So they are real-life situations, but they are meant to poke fun. They're meant to poke fun at real-life situations, but they're fake situations. They seek to engage the audience. They're not fact or fiction, but a fact-fiction aggregate. Here you have the TV show style, where they interact with other characters, and under that they switch to the documentary style, where that's a little bit more real and like a real-life situation documentary. They're almost always partly or wholly improvised. Unscripted lines help sustain the fake reality. It lets the humor flow organically. If there is a real situation that the actors are placed in, it is easier for them to create a more real-life experience for you to watch, rather than if lines were written for them on a more traditional television sitcom. The Office is largely improvised, with a running joke about Michael taking improv classes and failing miserably. They function as anti-sitcoms by dismissing the elements of regular sitcoms: timing, acting, style, choreography. In mockumentaries, cameras act as their own characters to bring you closer to a real-life interaction with the characters' emotions and thoughts. Here we have Jim from The Office and Michael from The Office. Here, Jim is making a face that he's probably disgusted or confused with whatever just happened, and Michael, you get close to his emotions from the camera. This is on his last episode, his departure. Here you have Michael Bluth, who seems to be disgusted at something that's happening, and George Michael. You can get up close to his reactions to the mockumentary style too. Well, how do mockumentaries engage the audiences so well? Mockumentaries engage the audiences best by essentially breaking down the fourth wall, looking at audiences as their personal confidants. And this was said best by Stuver of the Washington Post. He says Jim and Pam, and sometimes Oscar, the gay accountant, are most frequently the ones who ever glance with pleading eyes at what we believe to be the mockumentarian camera crew, in a new way of breaking what used to be the fourth wall. They are acknowledging the full absurdity of the world around them to a sympathetic watcher. So often at the end of some type of ridiculous scene, Jim, Pam, Oscar, or actually any of the characters from the show — that's the one part I disagree with them with, I think they all do it equally — any of the characters from the show will look at the camera and just express their disapproval, confusion. Their emotions are easily read by the camera in a mockumentary. While documentaries serve as a call to action, mockumentaries merely serve as a call to play. For instance, The Cove is a dark documentary that covers dolphins in captivity. The call to action is to do something about this. In Arrested Development, which is a mockumentary, there is no call to action. It's merely jokes and ongoing humor. For instance, in this one, there's an ongoing joke about banana stands always bringing in revenue. There's no call to action here, there's just a call to play along with the joke. What makes a mockumentary? Here we'll explore different mockumentaries and reveal what techniques they use to classify themselves as mockumentaries. Fox's Arrested Development is probably one of the most famous mockumentaries. It follows a shady corporate family, Bluths, through their adventures in corporate world. The dad is in jail, the son is trying to bring the company back together. They use handheld camera shooting and a narrator to add to their unique style as a mockumentary. The narrator, Ron Howard, is also a producer of the show. NBC's The Office is also a mockumentary. They do this by having separate interviews, documentary style, to the left here, and looking straight into the camera after any type of scene that they need to express their reaction to, which is on the right. Pam looks into the camera. One of the most notable scenes from Season 9 in The Office is a mockumentary scene in which one of the camera crew members becomes an actual character on the show, separate from his identity as the cameraman. He becomes Brian, and he befriends Pam when Jim is spending too much time in Philadelphia and Pam needs an emotional crutch. Modern Family on ABC is another example of a documentary. This is because they look into the camera to speak to the audience. They have single camera interviews, but unlike The Office, they do not reveal the identity of the camera crew at any point. They don't even actually talk about the camera crew. They are just filmed in the sense of a documentary, and they have separate interviews, never acknowledging that they're really being interviewed, just expressing their thoughts to you. There's been many different approaches to the mockumentary. We've looked at the American TV comedy mockumentaries, but how about some different kinds? In 2008, there was a film called Cloverfield, which was a science fiction film mockumentary. The Office United Kingdom, which is an international mockumentary television show. There was Reno 911, which was a parody of the factual show Cops, which in itself is a documentary. There was the Naked Brothers Band, which was a children's show mockumentary in which they had separate interviews. There was Kenny, an Australian mockumentary movie on a installer of portable toilets, and there was Tanner 88, which was a U.S. mockumentary on a political campaign. Tanner was running for the governor of Michigan. There's been many musically involved mockumentaries, one of them being The Rutles, All You Need Is Cash, which was a parody on the Beatles, 1978, and there was 1984's This Is Spinal Tap, which followed a British band who progressed from pop to heavy metal. This was largely improvised and had a real feel because much of it actually was real. The future of your mockumentary. Although many journalists believe that the American television mockumentary died off with the decline of The Office and Parks and Recreation, others believe that there is still more hilarious content to come, like the 2014 expected releases of the television show Family Tree and the documentary Jesus People. Thank you.